one of the missing keys, and it's a big, huge missing part of the puzzle of why people suffer, is understanding one's lymphatic system. That is the sewer system in the body. The allopathic community didn't add that one into their theories, and so they're just now discovering parts of it.
Right.
So without understanding how the body gets rid of metabolitic acids in your body, you're lost. You don't understand why there's swelling in the body. You don't understand why lymph nodes swell, why tumors, why people have pimples and boils, why people get neurologically compromised. You can't explain any of these things because you don't understand how the body deals with the acid side of chemistry, which is the corrosive side of chemistry. So detoxification is that art, and with the understanding of the lymphatic system more complete with the kidneys and the skin and understanding how the body eliminates metabolitic waste, then one can understand true detoxification and how you take someone, let's say, with eczema from head to toe and clean it right up.
Right.
Or someone with tumors in the lungs, how do you get them out? You know? So we live in this planet of treatment-based thinking, and you guys are part of the renaissance of understanding you can't treat symptoms. You have to understand the cause of the symptoms and address the cause of the symptoms.
Now, I would be curious just to hear, because you were in the medical field for a while, you were in the emergency room for a few years. So how did you go from that journey into understanding detoxification and acid alkaline?
This journey first. See, I've been a naturopath. I was in a hospital as a naturopath.
Okay.
I have been on this journey about 48 years now. Wow. So my first office was about in 72 or 3. I started seeing people and working with people. I had health food stores first.
Okay.
I came out of the woods as a hermit. Kind of went into becoming a hermit and a fruitarian because I realized that fruit was a natural food of man. You know, we're primates. We're 97% the same. So we're frugivores. And we're trying to eat foods that the body can't digest well or foods that have an acid ash. A lot of people don't understand the difference between foods because the medical community has told people it doesn't matter what you eat. Diseases are something that you can't control.
Right.
And that's a theory that has no validity to it. The whole concept of diseases is ridiculous. You know, we live in a chemical world, and you interact with chemistry by just walking down the street. You know, and so that chemistry, you have to understand how it interfaces with your health of your body.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I like to give people the basic example of just creation. There's a natural created order. You know, you can't just touch fire and not expect to get burned. Like, there's just certain laws of creation, and that's the same way within our bodies with this acid-alkaline balance. And, you know, I just love how you teach that. One thing that really struck me at the seminar we just finished, if you could just explain to people, is just kind of the process of how the body's actually protecting itself from acidosis.
Oh, yeah.
And it goes through this stage of inflammation, cholesterol plaquing, calcification, all these things we see as like problems or diseases of man.
Mucus.
But you explain that these things are natural processes of the body trying to protect itself from acidosis, really because God's a good designer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And not to understand that would be, I don't know, a failing of the individual, because just look around and you look at a beautiful flower and it's multiple colors. How did that happen? I mean, it's just the beauty of how chemistry arranges itself, but there's a driver behind the arrangement. There's a consciousness behind that, you know. Well, understanding acid and base is key for everyone, and it's simple. And children should be taught this in school because there's only 2 sides of chemistry. So when you have a problem, you have to ask yourself, what is the nature of each side of chemistry? And did I break a law, like you said? Do you break a natural law? And am I bumping against the wrong side of chemistry? And so just what you said, when you understand the inflammatory process, you begin to realize why man has cholesterol problems, like you said, why you see calcifications, why you see kidney stones, gallstones, why you see everything you see, you begin to understand that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So we just want to make it real for the people who are watching it out there, because, you know, there's still, like, we can have this general understanding, and that's great. But there's still a belief that, you know, when you have cancer, there's not much you can do, or you have tumors, there's not much you can do. And what I love about your experience is that you've seen the reality that you cannot deny, the testimonials, the tumors coming out, the breast tumors being released. You know, I mean, just share, I don't know, just a couple of the stories. One that struck me was the girl, I think you mentioned it, with the tumors all over her legs, and she was actually asking to have her legs removed because the pain was so severe. Like, this is the kind of suffering that people and children are going on to, that the medical system has no answers to, but you're seeing people get well.
Oh yeah, yeah, because you understand the lymphatic system. And this is the lymph system. It's simply put that everything has a sewer system to it. You create a factory, you have to bring in all your materials to build whatever your factory builds, but then you have byproducts and waste that are created during manufacturing. Everybody knows that. Same thing when you burn carbon in your car, you have carbon dioxide coming out. Same thing with your diet, with the body. The body's the same thing as your car. You burn carbon fuel, and you have all the acids that come out. All food breaks down into acid waste. Well, if you understand acids are corrosive and create dehydration and agglomulation, meaning everything sticks and gets hard. I think everybody can understand, oh, my neck is stiff and tight, I'm sore. That's your lymphatic system, and that's acidosis.
Right, right. So what are some of the most, just a couple of, if you can think of any, I know there's hundreds, but of like these extreme cases you've had and
we've
seen
had,
people get better.
We've had people with multiple tumors in multiple places and got rid of all of them. Marcy's just, been with me for quite a while now, and we all here have the same, because we follow the same protocols and we understand how the body works. It isn't magic. We understand chemistry and how to hydrate and get the kidneys to filter and get these tumors out.
Well, just the story of a lady this last week, 8 tumors throughout her body, and just by cleaning up the diet and starting to alkalize the body, and I think it's been a couple of months now, working with some herbs to help getting the kidneys filtering. Remember, a tumor forms because there's been an obstruction somewhere, and the body is not cleaning away the waste that is around that weaker tissue, and so the body protectively forms things around that so that the rest of the body is safe. We are survival beings. Our body's going to do what it needs to do to survive. And just by changing the diet and working with some herbs, 6 of those tumors have already disappeared, and it's only been, I think, 2 months. Wow. 2 months so far.
Amazing.
Oh yeah, I've had a model that had lung and bone cancer, 43 days on grapes and lemons. No more bone and lung cancer left. Tumors, we had a 9-month-old with a tumor in
9 months old.
9 months. Wow. But that shows you that your lymphatic system is set by mama. Because you're hooked into her fluids. Remember, the body's just cells and fluids. It's all your body is. So your body's made of approximately 100 trillion cells. There's some but
give and take.
Give or take. So let's say 100 trillion cells. So you have to feed 100 trillion cells chemistry, right? Food, nutrition, right? But also you have to clean 100 trillion cells. Just like a baby you bring home from the hospital, you don't just feed them, you gotta clean them. And so how do you do that? And that's those interstitial spaces. Those are the spaces around every cell in your body, including bone. And that's how your body gets blood, and then the lymph moves it away. The fluid in those spaces are 20% blood, 80% lymphatic. So it shows you how vital the lymphatic system is. Well, when you have a modality like the allopathic community that does not understand this, they make everything look like it's a disease and they can treat it, then that's what kills so many people. The allopathic community kills so many people needlessly because they don't understand what you guys understand, the great lymphatic system.
Well, a lot of people listening may not understand what acids do, and this may be the first time that they're even hearing about the lymphatic system or acids and what they do in the body. And Robert referenced babies, feeding them and cleaning them. But what happens if you do not change a baby? What happens to the bottom? The red, the diaper rash, that is acid breaking down the skin. And so think about what that's doing inside the body. To all the organs and the cells and the tissues and different things like that.
This is why there is that inflammatory process. Some people think inflammation is a disease. And it's not. It's the body's natural immune response. To what?
Totally. Well, could you give us just an idea, because some people have heard this acid alkaline concept, but what's the basics of the diet, or at least, where should a person start, and what does an alkaline diet look like so people can heal and get well?
Well, think about this. When you look at chemistry, the acid side is the corrosive, I'm going to break you down, tear you apart side. We have to have that because we're in an atom rearrangement universe. In other words, it's already created here. And if someone out there wants to have a baby, it requires atoms to build the structures of cells and everything else in the human body. Where do you get those atoms? In a universe that's already built. So things have birth, life, and death to them. So things like trees break down, people die, everything turns over, and we take those atoms and use them to rebuild other structures here. But the acid side of chemistry is responsible for breaking down things, but it's also responsible, it is also the byproducts of metabolism, respiration, the whole processes, even the Krebs cycles, all the cycles of digestion, all release all these acids. Acids have an agglomeration effect. They dehydrate you. The other side of chemistry, the alkaline side or the base side, hydrates you. So when you're running and exercising, you're creating a lot of acids. So then you run to grab something to drink to hydrate you. So acids dehydrate, alkalis hydrate. And this planet is an alkaline dominant chemistry planet, because in an acidic dominant chemistry planet, people couldn't live.
Right.
Life couldn't live. It's in
Right.
a corrosive environment.
Right.
So when you allow your waste in your body from all your cells to build up, it becomes corrosive to the cells. That's why you have all that protection from cholesterol, calcium, histamines, leucins, all these things like that.
So even, if you look at diet, even people who are trying to eat healthy, say before processed foods, I mean, a lot of foods people have always eaten have been on the acidic side. People do dairy and they do grains and they do meat, and then people switch to a healthy diet and they still eat like healthier versions of those foods. And then on top of that, we've created these super acidified foods like soda pop and all these things. And again, you want to talk about, we don't think about things that don't kill us instantly, but this process of acidosis is just constantly happening in our body, and it's getting worse to worse generation.
Well, you have two types of foods, just like you were saying. You either have the acid ash or acid forming foods, or you have the alkaline forming foods. So if you made it simple, most of your fruits, berries, melons, and vegetables are alkaline forming. Your grains, your beans, your meats, your processed dairy products have an acid ash to them. So if you have an acid ash food that you're eating, its in ash is acidic. Well, blood is alkaline. So now all these acids are going into the blood, these proteins, and now your blood has to compensate for that because it will pull it down into the acid side, and death is within about 3 minutes. So your blood can't be acidic. So the body then has to steal the calcium out of the walls of your arteries, and that gives you the varicose veins, spider veins, bruising easy, all the things that people see, aneurysms, herniations, things like that.
Right. So diet-wise, if you're talking about an alkaline diet, obviously people who are more sick or chronic probably got to be more extreme. Some people might be able to be more balanced. But if somebody's in a chronic situation, what is the best thing to start on? You've mentioned people doing grape fast to heal of chronic illnesses, and so what would you say the best fruits are, and diet to start with for somebody who's chronic versus somebody who just wants to make good changes?
Well, especially those that are coming to me with ALS, Parkinson's, cancer, those kind of things, I try and get them to transition to a fully alkaline diet as soon as I can get them talked into that. Most of them are desperate enough. They've done all these treatment-based things, and this is their last resort.
Right. 20 doctors and thousands of dollars. And, Right.
Many have lost their savings, their entire savings for this. And so I try and talk them into going on either one of two that I have found has been the highest, and that is either a grape or a lemon fast.
Okay.
For as long as I can talk them into doing it. If they can give me 10 days, great.
Okay.
If they can't do the 40 days, they can only do the 10, take a break, go back and do another 10.
When do you add in alkalizing greens, like an alfalfa or a superfood blend or something?
I work with that a lot if somebody is coming to me and they're very, very malabsorbed, underweight, and we have to do some cleaning and then some building.
Right.
And we go kind of back and forth with that. And I mix the greens in a little bit if I'm trying to build. If somebody comes to me and they're so weak that they can't even get off the couch because their adrenals are so low and compromised, then we may mix some green drinks in there to help build that up a little bit.
Right.
But at some point, you still have to get to the cleaning phase. Most people don't think about that. You clean your cars, you clean your house, you clean your pools. We've totally forgotten about cleaning the body.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is talking about neurological cases. Let's look at a few. Because we've had, ALS comes here, and we've had cases of ALS where you're in a wheelchair, your limbs are already modeling, you have no voice. And a good example was the lady we had out at this place a few months ago or a year ago. And she was a singer. She couldn't sing anymore. She couldn't talk anymore. She couldn't move anymore.
Wow.
Now, I put her all on fruit. That's it. And she was up and walking and pushing that within about 4 months, I think it was. But you could see her unfolding. Then she started talking. Then she could sing, and she started moving. Now, she wasn't running, but within 6 to 7 months, it was your jaw would drop.
Yeah.
And I've reconnected higher end quadriplegics. I've connected, but on fruit only. And you bring up the greens. The problem, greens would be great for horses and elephants. But when you're talking primatish and you're talking about man and primates' nervous systems, you got to have a higher form of food. And the highest form of food on the planet are fruits and berries. Those are genetically and the most powerful nutritionally. Got a lot of friends that are multiple doctored professors, and we all agree with that the chemistry of the berries in particular, properly grown fruit would be the same way.
Right.
Something that people don't realize when they look at a fruit versus a vegetable is the energy difference, the digestive difference.
Right.
When you're looking at different foods, there's also different species designed to deal with these. So when you talk about greens, when you look at animals that eat greens, they grind the greens because greens are so thick cellulosely. So they grind, and we don't grind our food. But the horses, I was raised farming, and so we had horses as well. And so you can watch them grind those greens up, and then you have multiple compartments or stomachs to go through.
Right.
Some as much as 7 stomachs to go through in this process of greens. We only have one, a very simple digest. We only go basically up and down.
Yeah.
So we are suited so perfectly for fruit. We don't have really anything. Naturally, we pick, peel, eat. And then, but energetically, I couldn't get that ALS case to walking with greens.
Right.
Remember I told you that story, how when I introduced vegetables to her,
Yeah.
an advanced MS case, she went back and couldn't move again
Wow.
after she started moving on fruit.
Wow. Yeah. So, I know you see a lot of extreme. Did you want to say something?
I was just going to add to this case the ALS case that he was talking about. If you want to see what acids do to the body, I mean, literally, she could not move, locked down. Her toes were curled in under.
Wow.
And with working with parathyroid and loosening and the alkaline diet, they started straightening right out, and she started sitting up again to the point where she could even walk. I mean, there's a process. Everything is about a process. And you're not going to go from boom to boom to boom. You've got to work yourself. So she had to work her toes and be able to stand up before she could, even take those steps.
Right.
And so, to be able to do that, and I think it was 4 to 6 months that she
It
did
wasn't
that.
bad. It was shocking how fast she did.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
I've had other
That's amazing.
cases. It took me 11 months on a C3, C4 quad. But in 11 months, I had her totally reconnected head to foot. And this was a head-on car crash, complete spinal cord separation.
Wow. Spinal cord severed.
Oh, yeah. Wow. So it is all plated up, That was 12 years down. But I've also reconnected 30-some years down. But if you understand what acids do, and that if you get on the other side of chemistry, there's only 2 sides. So if you get on the other side of chemistry, you're in the hydrating, regenerating side. And so to think that God just made your body to go down and there's nothing you can do about it, stupid.
Oh, yeah.
Because medical doctors are trying to treat something they don't even understand. They create a disease concept of this, and then these are diseases. This is not diseases.
Thousands of names of diseases.
Thousands of names. You know what? Cause and effect. You
Yeah.
create everything you're experiencing. Just because you don't know it, it's just unconsciousness.
Right.
I create everything by what I eat. Everything is chemistry.